Hello, everybody. Welcome and welcome back to Mythlanders, session 14 of Goblinstone. When last we left our heroes, they were once again defending the market square from a horde of goblins. These slightly better organized and better armed, but so are our heroes, with companions laid out here and there around the square, archers up on the rooftops, and all of their prodigious new talents that have grown in them at the ready. They have made good in defending and laid low many goblins, but they continue to sort of pour and creep in through different openings or across rooftops. And something seems to be coming from the north, where we left off. It's been an intense battle, with blows being rained down on both sides. Helena and Millie have both taken some hits. Helena more so, I think. Lokag's taken several hits, but due to his ability to shrug off pain and exhaustion, he's still standing where most townsfolk would probably not be. But some defenders have fallen. Some of the town guard, some of the people they worked hard to defend and keep alive last time, and once more Baba Brune has fallen defending his pub and the area around it. But there is still hope. All our heroes are still standing. No one has been brought to the stones in a permanent fashion. But the scramble is on with Lokag to the north. Let me bring us over to a bit of a map here. So as we can see, up here toward the north, we've got Lokag holding off multiple goblins. A group here, some of the wharf rats fighting them. Helena was with them, but Helena is now sort of slipped underneath Mim and Nilnan's coffee wagon. Oh, what the heck? There is something off. Let me switch screens. I have a little kerfuffle over here. There's things that people should not be able to see. So just take another moment.
Luckily, none of us are watching that Twitch screen.
Very good, very good.
And I believe as we were fighting off these goblins, it seems like something larger is coming from the north. Perhaps something a little bit more powerful. I wasn't sure if they were retreating or not. I couldn't remember exactly where we left off at the last round.
There definitely was a bit of both. Goblins, some goblins, and one of the bugbears has slipped away, not wanting any more of the punishment you all are dishing out in defense of the square. But it certainly sounds as if something large and hulking is stomping its way south toward, toward the northern pathway, near to where Lokag. Say again? Let's see here. All right. That's perfect. Okay. Thanks for your patience, everybody. I'll slip back over here. And here we are back at the square. All right. To the southwest over here, we have Millie, the older dwarven woman, city watch, Ragna, having taken out several goblins, mostly through Millie's doing, but some support from a wharf rat with a bow up on the roof, and of course Ragna, who's now armed with a crossbow. Two of the heavily armored Shatterbone, and three other of the disheveled, poorly equipped goblins. But to the east, having felled some of the defenders there, Baba Brune, guard and townfolk, as well as some goblins, have fallen over there. Warfrat on the roof just behind them is sitting to throw arrows down at them. And X is scurrying along, sort of hitting from all angles, had most recently been supporting Millie, almost overwhelmed in that position. There are goblins, there's at least one other hiding in this area. Perhaps in this lean-to, or perhaps it has even dropped over the lip of the fountain. In either case, you see one, but you knew that there were two over there. All right. Now, as we begin to step back into it, I'm curious what everybody's thoughts are. Helena is likely going to, well, she might slip back up out from underneath, pull up into a kneeling position, fire an arrow, and dive back underneath. And it's just going to be trying to stick and move, as she's pretty hurt. She's taken several good hits and is getting pretty winded and beat up. What about X? What's X thinking about doing?
More of the same, really. Just trying to put the dead condition on as many goblins as I can. Reaping those souls. At the end of the last session, there was discussion of trying to consolidate ourselves against whatever it is that's coming, and X will be in support of that idea.
Okay, fantastic. What about Millie? What are Millie's thoughts? What is she looking to do next round, or
being down near the south? Billy is kind of looking around to that southeast or right-hand side where Baba Boone and others have fallen, and goblins are pushing in from down over there. We, to clarify, we all heard something big coming from the north?
Yes.
Okay.
Alright. You presume the Dwarven Bard, Bradwin, is going to, keep firing with their bow, and that those in the wagon, Millen and Mim, will continue trying to do some damage to the enemy and help defend the square. What about Lokag?
Lokag is thinking he's going to continue to face these goblins up front here. Make sure everyone knows that something bigger is coming their way. And he's probably going to try and do a tactical retreat just a bit so that maybe we can regroup to face this larger threat together. And something that we had talked about just after our stream last week was I think Helena should have had a health potion on her as well. I know she's not here with us today to say that, so I wanted to make sure, even if it's not on the sheet, she should have one to help that health situation.
We added one last.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And we also have one that was gifted by the stream to deal with at some point.
That's right. Heck yeah. Oh, I need to restart that challenge.
Yes, please.
Run through us out of the window of the shop.
Perhaps. All right, give me just a moment while I set that up. For some reason, it's not letting me do one right now. Okay, this is something I'll have to read up on later. But
It's all good.
yeah, it is something we can do manually, however. If you all instead want to use like highlight or animate your text message, that'll alert us to channel points spent toward another healing potion. Alright, as the sound of thundering footsteps, followed by the clinking and dragging of heavy chain, continues to scrape its way towards you. Those goblins to the north that Helena had just dashed away from, they slip toward her, spotting the wagon and the fire and arrows coming out of the wagon itself. Actually, let me see here. They come out a little wide and try to hit the dwarf. But he's they do instead move in this direction. One of them would try to get a shot on her, another one would take a shot toward... I'll check an X. I don't think he made a stealth check after his last attack. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, I did.
You did?
I got a massive stealth check. I'm at like 27 or something.
I must have missed it. Checking. Okay, very good. Yeah, 26.
26.
Very nice. Okay, fantastic. So, the Shatterbone fires up at the wharf rat. That has only cover from another end. Dust Goblin tries to fire down at the wolf. The arrow misses, lodging itself into the wooden paneling. Someone go ahead and roll that 2d4 plus 2 for Helena's healing potion. She quickly guzzles a healing potion and scrambles out the other side of the wagon. Stands up and appears. Nice! 8, that puts her sitting a lot better. Over half HP. You'll not kill my rats, but we'll nibble you all to death, she shouts and fires that radiant crossbow to the north. With a 14 to hit the Dust Goblin. That is its AC. Helena has a few different abilities on her sheet. Septic Strikes being one of them. I think she needs a bonus action to do that. Yeah. does extra damage to somebody that she hit. She's already, okay, yeah, so she's just gonna do straight damage. The blazing shaft of light passes directly through the creature's neck. A stunned expression crosses its face as it collapses to the stones. Ha! Anna says as she dives back underneath. Next to me is X.
Yeah, I think freeing up Lokag is a priority, but there's also a goblin here and another one hidden, I believe.
Yes. There's one hidden somewhere around there.
I don't like the idea of this one killing Helena and trying to get into the cart or any of that nonsense. So we are going to attack from hiding and use the crossbow and sneak attack and all the stuff that we like to do.
I love it.
See if we can make one less goblin. First priority.
You have someone to please in that regard.
I do.
You do.
I have a lot of souls to send that way. 14.
Let's see here. 14 is going to miss as a shield.
Okay, and then I will move and I will rehide.
The goblin gives a shriek, turning toward you. A clatter of rough stone jewelry around its neck and around its wrists. By the time it turns, X has vanished. Gone.
I'll also say, before I re-stealth, I'll say, regroup at the inn.
Next to the wood is Miller. One on the roof above you. Two coming along from the east of you.
Kind of taking to what X has said, looking at, kind of over my shoulder at Ragna and the wharf rat above, and just motion like towards the end.
The dwarf nods curtly once and takes a half step back as if to make an intelligent fighting retreat.
Here. Just that range. Tag it. Okay.
When he turns and jogs toward the oncoming goblins. One of them, wounded, kind of shifts its eyes uncertainly as you turn and begin to charge toward them. The other one, the unwounded one, just screeches in excitement. Ah! Wavering its broken, almost broken scimitar.
Feel the faith again to give myself that boost in AC. Since it fell when the Strider Bone threw a dagger at me. That's the bonus action. I'm going to take the action to rush him. Dash in. That is me.
Nice. All right. Radwin pops, sort of steps, stands up a little bit from behind the wall and fires a short bow at the goblin. but it deflects it with its shield as well. Huh. Slips back. Meeting Helena on the other side. Zips out through one of the partially shuttered windows on the wagon, slams into Shatterbone's into its rib cage. Let's see. And to the north of you, stomping into view, towering over the barricade itself, is what appears to be a large, rough-looking humanoid. It has shackles and an iron collar with chains that look like as if they've been broken. It steps up to the barricade. It seems to have, lumbered. It seems heavy and slow, and it seems as if it's used all of its strength and speed to get up to this point. It seems to begin to bring its club back, or maybe it's shifting to step over the barricade. The two goblins near Lily. One steps wide around. They both attempt to attack with their scimitars. Good flanking bonus as well. One for an 18 and one for a 17 to hit. That 20 is going to hit Millie, I believe, right?
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Joe.
Yeah, you said 18, sorry.
Oh yeah, I said 18, but a 20, and then the next one is going to be a 17.
Yep.
17 is going to hit as well?
Only the 20.
Okay, excellent.
19.
So it'll be 4 slashing damage to Millie. Then the one nearest you. Let's see here. Where's that? Sorry, that's not right. Disengages, and one of them dashes toward the woodworker shop. The other toward the inn. You don't hear anything else scrambling over or underneath the wagon blocking the eastern alley. I think it's quiet over in that direction. As you like, you can make an attack for the Warcraft. +3 to hit. That is the AC of the Goblin. They're going to have a short 56.
Or plus whatever their
Nice.
modifier is.
The Goblin seems very wounded. The arrow sort of pierces through its shoulder. You can see the arrowhead sort of bulging, not quite passing through. The Goblin winces in pain and sort of ducks toward the doorway. And to the north, Okag slowly getting surrounded by goblins. The Hobgoblin swings its great longsword, sort of fainting out a deceptive arc, but still, you see it coming. That 10, you managed to dodge it outright. Two goblins take the opportunity to step in, swinging their scimitars, both at Lokag. For an 8 and a 9. Both miss. And the roughly armored goblins, so caked in dust from the first day's assault, slashes and notch a short sword towards you, brother. For 22 to hit. 5 piercing, sort of gouges you with the tip, sort of wide, rusty short sword. It just screeches wordlessly up at you. So they shift and reposition themselves away from the oncoming giant. But Lokag, you can make an insight check. Something is odd about that.
13.
They're high. Yeah, it's a ruse. That's a bluff of some sort. They expect you to take some sort of bait. They're not concerned about the giant at all, as berserk as the massive humanoid looks. They don't seem concerned at all about the massive club that it has. Not sure why.
Alright, Lokag is going to he's going to take an attack with his hammer on the hobgoblin that's there.
Okay.
Getting a 19 to hit.
A 19 is gonna hit that hobgoblin.
Alright. And I'm going to re-roll that damage
Okay.
with Savage Attacker. And I believe it's 1. Reroll the damage dice.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And then using the total. So, reroll for 9 damage.
So as you bring the great hammer down, the hobgoblin just has slashed out at you, but it's not able to, it's sort of overbalanced. It's not able to track its blade and step behind its shield quickly enough to deflect it. The hammer crushes into its shoulder and chest to drive the hobgoblin to the ground. And how does Lokag? What does this look as Lokag takes this thing out? Or how does he look?
As it's trying to slip past him, he's going to kind of trip it a little bit with his hammer as he's bringing his hammer up. The goblin will stumble a bit, and then Lokag's going to bring the hammer back around full circle and smash it in the back. And he is going to, after, on their way back, he had learned how to say today is a good day to die in Goblin from Cliff. And he's going to just look at the others with a splatter of blood on his face and a big grin and say in Goblin, today is a good day to die.
Make an intimidation check.
14.
14. Alright, give me just a moment. They all cringe and cower back. Their eyes either sort of widen in fear or narrow with like new tension that comes over them. I'm pretty sure that these goblins are shaken. And they look like they're going to try to back off, at least from you. They may not be broken entirely. They'll certainly be at some sort of disadvantage if they attack you. They can't even really look
That.
at you.
With that, Lokag is gonna do like a little hop, and he's gonna start bolting for the tavern. So I know that'll provoke some opportunity attacks, but we'll see. So he's gonna start heading towards the tavern. So if they're rolling straight, the 21 and the 22 both hit.
That'll be a 19 and a 20. So I use a condition called Shaken. That's like just before you're afraid, and you get a -2 to the same checks that fear will give you disadvantage on. So they're not quite
Nice.
disadvantaged.
Those will both still hit.
High rolls there, so that's a total of 14 damage. You're still raging.
Actually, oh no, I'm gonna just take it. Yep, take it. Okay, awesome. And that is my turn. Do you want are Cliff and the wharf rat on the roof able to make any moves? On my, I think they were
Yes.
going on my turn.
Yeah, they were absolutely. And you know, DL and JFink, you all both have input. If you all have good ideas for Cliff and Cliff.
Yes, please. I was gonna have them shoot at that cluster of goblins and then make their way across the roofs towards the tavern and the inn.
Perfect. Strongly agree.
Yeah, seems to be a good way. If you stabilize them there.
I'm gonna say Wharf Rat is just aiming for that goblin in the corner. Getting a 22 to hit.
That is definitely going to hit. D6 plus 2.
6 damage. Cliff.
The rough arrow sinks deeply into the goblin's left buttock. It screeches, but does not fall. It does seem very wounded as it takes on a limp and blood begins streaming down its leg.
Cliff will aim for the. Oh, he's gonna roll a 1. So
Oof.
I'm gonna roll a d6 there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That'll be a 5.
All right. In this case, nothing happens. No enemies close enough. He, balancing on the slick roof tiles, he doesn't, as the bolt clicks, snaps out, he almost sort of loses his balance and kind of wavers for a moment. If there was anyone nearby, they would have been able to take an attack of opportunity on him. But, Cliff quickly regains his footing, looks around, and manages to work his way southward. Go ahead and make a D20 for athletics check for Clifford to move along the uneven and slick roof tiles.
I look like we need the music volume needs to go down a little bit there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Dunes are rounding us out.
Ah. All right. I'll bring it down to there. How's that sound, stream? Is that better? Hi, Valentine. How are you? Hey, Jar Jar. Hey, the Vopesian. I recognize you. Thanks for coming.
You may be a little quiet on stream, honestly, DM.
Myself? Alright, let's see what I can do about that.
Yeah, it sounds like music is louder than the vocals right now.
Ah, okay, no bueno. I brought myself up a bit. That should be quite a bit louder. I brought the music down. And I could bring you all's volume up a bit too. So let's hear you all chat a moment. Millie, can I hear your voice?
Indeed. This is my voice. Chatting away.
Oh, let me see here. Bring that back down. All right, let me hear your voice one more time.
continuing to speak into these things in my ears.
All right, DL, how about you? Can I hear your voice?
Thank you for retreating.
All right, can I hear your voice?
This-
There we go. Keep at it. Need to hear your voice a little bit more.
This will be better.
All right, how about you, Big Bri? Let me hear your voice.
So I am thinking that we maybe retreat a bit, go back to the tavern, have a drink, and then we can face this giant. But I am definitely thinking beer before fighting.
All right. That should sound quite a bit better. I might be too loud, actually. Looks like I'm peeking out. All right.
I think I might be a little soft still.
On whose end? Like, for all of us?
All of us, yeah.
All right.
Better. Much better.
Okay. Let's see here. Just went ahead and maxed out everybody's voices, brought mine up a bit, and let's see here. Brought
We
them-
practiced their vocals this morning.
That's yeah. Actually, that's something that slipped through the cracks today. I was doing the sound check. All right. All right. Hopefully that sounds better and everybody can hear us. The music's down at a better level. And thank you so much, stream, for letting us know. And apologies that you all had to deal with that. So much of that this session. But yeah, now we're back at it. Everybody should be able to hear us pretty well.
Made it feel intense.
That's right. Was that 16 athletics check for Clifford? Was that 16 his athletics check?
Yes, it was.
All right, so he moves along just fine.
Do you
And you
need
can-
one for the wharf rat?
Yes, please. They have a +3.
So a 9.
All right, that is gonna miss. Oh yeah. There is one other wharf rat, Millie, if you want to, or X actually, if you want to make an attack for the wharf rat over here. It's got a few options. It might be able to hit the goblins to the south or to the north. So what do you think for that one, X? Ooh, 2d6.
Wow.
North
Very nice.
to
All right.
Alaska. 2d6, any bonus?
Yeah, +2.
All right, here we go. Bam, 10.
You can feel free to describe or pass as it takes out the heavily armored Shatterbone Goblin.
Not wanting to be left behind without helping out, desperate to help Lokag retreat to the end, which gets shouted across the way. Looming giant, moment of heroism, takes a close shot and right through the head, just disappears that goblin's entire melon.
Nice. All right.
And then does a little bit of that, hey, look at me.
The other wharf rats that were with Helena dash toward the wagon. They snatch up goblin bows and each fire toward the cluster here. Let's see another wharf rat attack from Big Bri and from J Finks. D20 +3. Ooh, almost an 18. Nice. Okay, so that's going to be a hit for Lokag. It's going to be a D6 +2. As they fire over toward the dust goblin.
That'll be an 8.
Yeah, one of the wharf rats manages to zero the dust goblin. You can feel free to describe or pass.
This is almost in passing. As they're in motion, just turn back and loose quickly. It's almost a lucky shot, or you would think it would be a lucky shot if they hadn't been just wrecking stuff all battle. You know that it is partially skill from being on the run so much.
Oh yeah. Right. Give me just a moment. From the southeastern rooftop, oh, Ragna also would have followed a bit, but the goblin fires at Ragna. For a 15, which is actually going to hit her. She's doesn't have her shield up. Ragna grunts as she charges along the heavy stone plaza. There's a groaning cough from Baba Brune. The large man rolls over and pulls himself to his feet. He's up. His torso is a mess of blood. His thick leather apron has got slashes through the slashes that have already been stitched up from the first time. He picks up his broken cask knife and one of the goblin scimitars and stumbles toward the nearest goblin. But is able to do little other than that. But still, the fellow is alive, it seems. From the north, goblins oh no, let's see, they would not do that. Let me pull this back over here. Instead, they would charge toward these. Throwing small, rough hand weapons.
Oh.
A large, thick-bladed throwing dagger lands in the calf of one of the wharf rats, and a roughly shaped hand axe thumps into the back, into the sort of into the scapula of another, as they sort of backpedal and fire to the north. Helena once more pops out and fires at one of the hobgoblins charging toward the wharf rats. Slipping around the corner, and she attacks the
Nice.
unwounded one. The one that does not seem as hurt. And another bright shaft of white light, leaving a purple after image in everybody's eye, and the goblin falls stiffly to the stone. She slips back around and presses her back up against the wagon itself, down into a crouch, almost as if undecided whether she's going to crawl back under the wagon or dart to the south. But hearing everybody's thoughts, she wants to be where all of her allies are. She eyes the goblins to the northeast of her as she rounds the large fountain. Yeah. Next in the order is X.
All right. Seems like Lokag is free to move. We've still got a random goblin here in the middle. X is going to make it to the inn, I think. Was this goblin running away?
Which one?
The one down here by the tavern?
They're moving away from Millie, it seems like. Maybe trying to move into one of the buildings to wreak more havoc.
Okay, I'm going to shoot from hiding. We're going to take this goblin that's by the fountain
Okay.
so that he can't interfere with our retreat, hopefully. And we're going to do that first.
I actually missed a trick. Let me make an action for them. They should have gone with the northern cluster and did not. One of them moves toward Lokag, makes an attack on him.
Oh no, the DM retcon.
That'll hit.
All right. And the Dust Goblin for a 24. As it came out of hiding. So it's going to be 16 or 8 for Lokag. Apologies, X. Continue, please.
I'm gonna use my Stone's Endurance on one of those. My last one.
Okay, perfect. Nice.
So I'll negate one and I'll take the other.
Cool. So you take 4, right?
Yes.
Nice. Perfect. All right. Now as your targets have moved, X.
Which one looks tougher, the Dust Goblin, or do they look about the same?
They look about the same. The Dust Goblin doesn't have as much armor as the Goblin does. The Goblin has a shield and slightly nicer or thicker looking leather armor. The Dust Goblin is...
I'll shoot that.
Yeah.
I'll shoot that one then with the confidence that I've got what it takes to kill the tougher target. So let's go.
All right, let's go. A 20 is...
hit.
A 20 is going to hit.
10
And with
damage.
that 10, you can feel free to describe or pass as you dispatch another Goblin.
So that goblin's running at Lokag and he's got his sword out and he's going to attack.
Mm-hmm.
And X finishes him off, but he still hits Lokag with his sword and then just bounces off. So that's the Stone's Endurance. He just bounces off of him. X thinks he's helping him and he's like, oh, yeah, all right, whatever.
Nice.
All right, I'm going to take a move action then, and then I'm going to pile on top of that with my rogue cunning action to do a dash. So we're gonna sprint 70 across the battlefield. Here we go.
Nice.
And then I don't have any action economy left, but I'll give a respectful nod to Baba Brune.
He grunts raggedly as he's kind of shuffling pretty as quickly as he can, covered in wounds and a pretty heavy-set older fellow anyway. But he looks... There's death in Baba Brune's eyes, one way or the other. All right, so next in the order then is Millie.
So these goblins have just kind of ran to random directions.
Yeah, they both split, and one went almost directly south, and then one went southeast, moving toward doors, maybe easier targets. You know, there's people inside all the buildings. Not a lot, but there's some. You don't think they want any of your magic. Not exactly shaken or afraid, but they just think better of engaging you think.
Good. I'll move towards this one, and just try to hack into it with the long sword.
Spits and curses as you come toward it, trying to bring its shield up, trying to juke one way or the other. Feint with the tip of its scimitar, but you see through all of it and cleave right in between scimitar and shield. And you can feel free to describe.
Laughing. She just swings, feeling a little overwhelmed, all these creatures and this new giant entering the fray. Just trying to really hack into this goblin. Succeeds kind of miraculously. Alright, that was 15.
Baba Brune grunts and re-angles himself toward the furthest goblin, as if to move, toward the woodworking shop.
Right, if he seems to be thinking about moving that way, I'll get as close as I can to this goblin. And then set to start roll 20.
I don't care who kills it, as long as it dies, grunts Baba.
Their ex won't mind killing another.
Gonna find out if I can still throw worth a damn, says Baba, hefting one of the broken cask knife in his hand. Any bonus actions? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Just trying to see. If I have a dagger, I could throw, but in theory, since I used a non-light weapon and have a shield now, I can't get that. So yeah, that's it.
Right. Lokag, you can hear the dwarven bard sort of cursing and muttering nervously as she fires her bow, misses, and scuttles after Helena. Nolan and Mim both fire again, but both miss.
Have they hit anything this whole combat?
Yes, they did. Their first round last session, they hit each hit 2 goblins. Let's see here. Hopping down to the stones from one of the rooftops over to the north is a goblin in robes with a sort of warped, worm-eaten wooden staff. It grunts heavily as it lands. And scurries toward its allies and angles toward the wagon. It raises its staff and its fingers as it does so. the air begins to swirl around around the wagon itself, around the... Oh, that's not working very well. Just a moment. Begins to swirl around the wagons and around the wharf rats. Well, that did not work very well at all. Alright, let me try that. Okay. A thick, choking gas seems to quickly swirl out around and sort of moving into the shuttered or half-shuttered windows and the gaps in the wagon, rolling underneath it and over top of it and blanketing the wharf rats from view. The goblin nearest Millie gives a howl of alarm and fear as Millie darts toward it and scurries away toward the barricade. One remaining goblin up to the north here fires its short bow at one of the wharf rats. The arrow strikes cleanly right above the sternum, right above the breastbone, sinking deep and dropping the wharf rat to the ground. The goblin gives a cackle of glee and darts south, taking some cover along the edge of the fountain itself. The dust goblin nearest Lokag, its eyes dart around. It slashes out at Lokag for a 14 before diving underneath. That's going to miss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then tries to dive into, like underneath the lean-to, sort of diving underneath the edge of the cloth as it's weighted down toward the ground. It does still provoke an attack of opportunity, but as it's moving out of your space, it's already sort of behind the cloth, so it's going to be a slightly reduced, be at disadvantage to hit it.
Okay. Got it. 18.
All right, it's going to be disadvantage, so a second roll.
Oh, disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Did anybody else see that thing like stop on a 5 and then flip to the 13?
Nice! That did not, but that's going to hit.
The dice on screen have been doing weird stuff lately.
Yeah, but that's a 17. 17 is definitely going to hit.
I figure we always go in chat. 11 damage. It's just things like drop down to the ground, starting to crawl under. Look, it's just like, hammer and nail, man. Just getting against a hard surface like the rocks is a bad idea when you've got a big hammer.
Indeed.
Goblin croquet.
Skull croquet.
The giant seems to clamber over all of the barricade. Steps wide over it and spins and moves directly toward Lokag, lumbering over and threatening with that massive club raised up over its hand as it comes towards you.
Jesus.
You can hear the ground shuddering. It doesn't smell as badly as you thought it would.
Does this giant seem a bit more dexterous than a giant normally would?
You all can make a history or survival check based on that.
I make that check with advantage, seeing as I'm kind of related to giants at all?
Yeah, you dealt with giants in the country, in the area that you grew up in. So yeah, I'd say you can make that with advantage.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. With those 11s for Millie and Lokag, there's definitely something odd about this giant. Giants usually have, well, they smell extremely strongly. They don't have practices of hygiene, and they usually sort of wear the grease and fat or blood of their kills, and it gets pretty rancid. This doesn't have any such smell. You don't see any sign of like scarring or tattooing that the giants of the north use. Everything about it is odd. You would have expected it to stomp or crash through that barricade. Yeah, Millie and Lokag, you are definitely suspicious. There's something odd about this giant. It's
All there.
so next in the order is Lokag. Lokag say anything as this giant stomps up toward him?
Oh yes, definitely. Lokag is going to take the disengage action, and I'm going to break my movement up into some pieces here.
Okay.
So he's going to take the disengage and kind of back off about 15 feet. In conversing in giant with the giant, he is going to call out, "Why do you help the puny ones? What is wrong with your smell?"
You can make an insight check. As the goblin doesn't respond.
The giant doesn't respond?
Doesn't respond. It's still giving you that same sort of idiot, violent, it just has just an enraged, unhinged look in its eye. It's almost comical.
Okay. Just an 8 on the insight.
For some reason it doesn't speak back. It doesn't even respond to you having spoken. It doesn't even look at you or react to hearing its language. Very odd.
Okay. Alright, Lokang is going to finish up his movement. That was... just doing some math in my head here.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, good. And he's going to get all the way back to here. So once he realizes the giant's not going to respond... Oh, wait, no, hold on. I'm so sorry. I can't use dash.
Yeah, you disengage, right?
Yep. So I'm going to get to here. And... unused action... movement. I don't really have bonus actions to throw around, so...
So disengage does not give you a 5-foot step, so you need to make another 5 foot back to the north.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And sorry to interrupt.
No worries. No, that was it. That's my turn. And then maybe I should get some clarification on this. Do Goliaths not have a 35-foot speed? I thought we had talked about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you absolutely do. Please take that 5.
Okay.
Again, yeah.
I wanted to make sure. I'm fine either way. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to make any. I'm fine with it either way. So.
No, that's great. Okay, so there are 3 wharf rats. Starting with Millie and the wharf rat west of you. I'm sorry. Wharf rat to the east of you, up here. What is you can make an attack roll for that, or have it move, reposition itself, or ready in action. What do you think for Millie? Or Millie, what do you think about that one?
You're gonna ready in action, just hold for the next thing that comes in range.
Okay. What about Cliff and the wharf rat? Continue to move to the south, or try to fire at the giant, or one of the goblins, or the witch doctor?
I think to have I think they're good up on the roof. So probably Cliff's probably good where he's at. The wharf rat maybe continue to move south. But if they're in range, both take shots at the giant. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Is the Goblin Witch Doctor out of range for them?
No,
Yeah, that's strange. Yeah.
not out of Cliff's range. No. Short bow, I think maybe so. But I'm checking really quick. Yeah. But yeah, you can go ahead and make an attack for Cliff. He's got a +5 with that heavy crossbow. 80 for
I'll
a
roll
short
that.
bow, so I think they are still in range.
Okay, Cliff's gonna miss. Gosh, I cannot roll well for him. Someone else needs to start rolling for Cliff.
Fair. All right, let's get that D20 +3 for the Wharf Rat, which is in range of the Witch Doctor, if that's who you want them to attack.
Yes, please. A 15.
All right. That is going to hit. It's a D6 +2.
7.
Right. You hear the the Witch Doctor grunting in pain, cursing to itself. And all right. To your surprise, the magic that the goblin is summoning is not what vanishes, but instead it's the giant. It seems to fade into dust-like mist. It's sort of a dark reddish dust, similar to the sand that's found inside the goblin stone. It swirls fitfully and violently before dispersing and vanishing into nothing. But that billowing gas continues to build. And you can see small sparks of green flame begin to appear on the Witch Doctor's staff. Wolf Rat sort of it just makes a curious sound to themselves as they slip along the rooftops. Clifford begins to slip and fall off the roof, losing his footing. He manages a controlled slide until he gets to the lip of the roof, but almost twists his ankle, but does not. Ugh. Too old for this, says Cliff. All right. There is another wharf rat here. So, X, what are you thinking for this wharf rat here? It can fire to the goblin down to the south, or it can fire up to the witch doctor as well, or the goblin creeping around the fountain.
Witch Doctor, public enemy number 1.
All right. Go ahead and roll that D20 +3. Oop, and I'll let the music go lax.
You go 13.
All right. Let's see here. The arrow is stopped by what must be armor under the Witch Doctor's robes. The Witch Doctor grunts in pain that the arrow does not penetrate. Right, from the west, another arrow is fired over toward Millie from the rooftops. 7 to hit, which is going to miss. It slips over the peak and sort of around the other edge of the rooftop, out of breaking line of sight. Ah! Bobber Boone slumps back into a sitting position on a keg, and just breathing heavily. All right. Helena is gonna keep doing what she's doing. She's gonna fire and keep moving to the south. X, any special plans this round, or stick and move as everyone else seems to be doing?
Cover everybody's retreat.
How about Millie?
Well, try to get up to Locag, give him some healing, and then again covering the retreat of everyone else.
All right. The NPCs up to the north are going to kind of continue what they're doing, although Bradwin is going to try and get out of this gas. Or
I'll
poison
probably
cloud.
shout out to who is that meaning man? Like, get out of there!
Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. So, the goblin hiding over along the fountain just to the northwest of Locag slips around, cleverly, around the tent itself, and manages to lose sight of it for just long enough for it to get advantage on its next attack, which just helps it a lot because that's only an 8 instead of a natural 1. Yeah, I'm going to save my GM inspiration and let that sort of stay where it is. Elena fires another shot with her crossbow, zeroing in on the witch doctor. The arrow seems to have been partially blunted, but the witch doctor seems quite hurt. From there, Helena dashes across the open square. Next in the order is X.
Okay, I'm gonna move forward a little bit and try to finish off this goblin that's here.
Okay. Oh, you're definitely within range.
Might be a corner there. So, no advantage this time, but do I have any bonuses or penalties or anything?
Not that I'm aware of, no. It's not enough of the tent to give the goblin any cover, so.
Crit fail. I'm going to re-roll that.
Okay. Using your inspiration gives me a second inspiration.
18 to hit for 6 damage.
That is going to hit, and that is enough for you to feel free to describe or pass as you dispatch another goblin.
Okay, X is just skirmishing around. He fires up the tattoo, takes aim, kind of moving as he goes, and sneaks the shot right around the corner of that little tent awning thing there, and then he's gonna slip off here around the corner and try to hide again.
All right, nice.
19 stealth.
19. Nice stealth check. All right. Millie, you see X take that shot, an arrow summoned from his tattoos, and he slips away and hides at the corner. What does Millie do?
All right. Let's call it to Locag. Locag, come here. I can heal you up a bit. I'll move as far as I can to Locag without burning my action, and then hold my action to use my lay on hands for all 8 points when he moves near.
Okay. Nice. All right, so Millie, you move up and get into position, ready that healing. Bradwin fires once at the witch doctor. She shouts to Nilnan and Mim. Go ahead.
I forgot something I was going to do.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yep, I was looking at my single bonus action over here that I can still use. I'll use my Child Divinity for the first time ever as well. Vow of Sustenance.
Sounds cool.
Focusing on Locag, a kind of golden ward, golden kind of aura floats around you for a moment, and at the start of your next turn at the start of each of your turns for the next minute, you will gain temporary hit points equal to. Just push this button. There's a lot of stuff that's underneath this.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and throw it in chat when you get a moment.
Yep. 4 temp HP per round.
Nice.
Oh, very good.
What's that first one there? Vow of Sustenance.
Awesome. All right. A vow of sustenance lays a golden aura over Locag, and healing summoned and ready to hand for Locag. Does Millie say anything?
Only call out like, come here and I can give you some healing, and just kind of digging in deep of focusing on this coin in their hand as they put their blade away to actually cast lay on hands. Because this will help you as well. And cast the vow of sustenance.
Awesome. Brilliant that is, says the Dwarven Bard as she dashes up after missing an attack at the witch doctor. She moves up into the, the safe area around Millie. Let's see here. The two halflings come out of the boiling, greasy green smoke, one sort of supporting the other as they're like sort of curled over, clearly nauseous, eyes streaming. The witch doctor continues to shout in creaking and snapping goblin chant. The end of the top of its staff burning brighter and brighter, and now blaring and smoking like a torch of ugly green light. The gas itself that is swirling around the wharf rats and around the wagon, something seems to be coalescing or moving inside of it. The gas seems to be becoming animated. The heat from the goblin staff must be intense. You can see that sweat's beginning to break out on its brow. Even from a distance, you can see its forehead shining with green light. The goblin steps back, however, sort of backing up, holding its robes up above its feet behind it as the small creature backpedals toward the walls, back toward the north. Checking a couple things. Next in the order is Lokag. There's only 3 things moving. A goblin scrambling over the roof away from you to the southwest. The witch doctor sort of pulling itself, perhaps positioning itself to retreat to the north. And the swirling gas, something coalescing inside of it. Lokag do?
Alright, Lokag is going to use 10 feet of movement to get to Millie and take that lay on hands. I've got the temp hit points.
So yeah, you'll get 8 healing and then the 4 temp HP.
Yep. And he is going to use the dash action, so that'll be dash minus 10 feet. He does 35 feet, so 70, so I'll move another 60, and he's gonna run 60 feet straight north, going towards the goblin.
Oof.
Well, maybe not straight north. So come in, tag out, tags his friend, and then he starts running back. Now, where this cloud of gas is, where I put the token, does that put him in it? He wouldn't have walked into the cloud of gas.
All right, let me try something else, because for some reason it's just not showing up.
Like over here, isn't it? Oh, there it is.
Ah, there we go.
A lot larger than I thought it was.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I think that's about the path he would have taken. So, alright, good. I'm happy with this. And that was... action was dash, so we're good. Yeah, no... Oh, well, he didn't attack or take damage this round, so... bonus action, he's gonna rage. He's gonna
Nice.
keep that rage going.
Oh yeah. Very important.
Yeah. I don't want to be caught taking a hit at full damage. I mean, who am I? You know?
Does Lokak say anything during this? Dashing up to Millie and dashing away, charging forward.
He says, "Thank you, smelly girl." And then as he's running towards the witch doctor, he's just going, ooh ee ooh ah ah, ding dang willow on a bing bang, as he approaches the witch doctor.
We just said, go kill that magic goblin.
You got it, smelly girl. No problem.
All right. So next in the order, one of the wharf rats gets an attack. It steps out of the poison gas, seeming unaffected by it. X, if you want to make an attack roll for that wharf rat.
Love to. It's a 22 to hit.
All right. D6 plus 2.
Uh, 37 damage.
Aha.
At 5.
I see that's just 5. Yeah, okay. Another arrow, this standing out in the goblin's belly. It still continues that creaking, snapping chant. And the smoke continues to billow and something resolves within it. No, let's see here. One more thing. The goblin on the rooftops to the west appears and puts an arrow into Ragna's back as she's turning in you all's direction. Baba Brune sort of, watching you all somewhat passively as you all dart toward him, still catching his breath, seeming to be an absolute mess. Now with her allies. Well, what's next then? Says Helena. Only 2 of them left. She turns and tries to catch the goblin to the west. It does have some cover. Does anyone want to roll for Helena? She's got a +6.
Get that lurker.
Wait, what's that?
So just said, get the lurking one.
All right. Yeah. Ooh.
X before I.
All right. Some X. Go ahead and roll that D6. Let's see what Helena's mishap is. All right. You hear her sort of suck breath through her teeth as if she's got hurt or something, but not really sure what happened with her. And she scrambles back toward let's see, Baba at this point. So the next in the order is X, hiding over at the entranceway to the alley.
Okay, since I'm quite a ways away from this witch doctor, could I potentially just sneak this way up along the front of the building?
Yeah, probably not much further than that, because there's once there's clear line of sight, you're sort of right at that. There's fallen bodies in their way. But once you get sort of, let's see here. once you round that alleyway, yeah, you're definitely out in the open. You still have to move at your half speed to maintain stealth. But I'd say there's enough going on at this point. They're focusing on the spell that they're casting.
Okay. I can get to there with half movement. So if that's allowed, then I shall shoost the witch doctor.
Okay. Let's see that attack roll.
All right. 19 to hit for 8 damage.
All right. That is going to hit, and you can feel free to describe your actions or pass as you dispatch the witch doctor.
All right. X is down in a crouch, kind of creeping along the front of the building, and he gets the tattoo fired up, and he just takes the long shot right past Lokag. You feel the fletching of the quarrel as it flies past your head and sinks itself into the witch doctor.
As the witch doctor throws their head thrown back, exultant in their casting of this dark magic, their breath catches in their throat, pausing, seizing their casting in mid-word and gesture. As they stop moving and screaming their chant, the flames at the end of their staff explode into a brand. They're sort of vaporized in this pillar of green flame. And the swirling green gas to the south, you all are starting to hear this sort of creaking, rattling growl as if echoing from a great distance within this gas. You see a shape, as almost like a worm made of green smoke, writhing around within this misty egg. It grows. There's a booming sound, and the smoke spreads out in a wave from that point, blanketing the square. Everybody needs to make Constitution saving throws as this gas spreads and dissipates.
I'm going to use my inspiration.
Okay.
Nope. All right, so I just got a 12. Cool beats.
10 for X.
Okay. All right, everybody who got a 13 or under is going to take 8 points of poison damage. Everyone who got greater takes 4 points of poison damage. As
Goodbye, temporary hit points.
as this green acrid smoke billows out over you, it leaves a film on your skin and a taste of chemicals on your tongue. Your sense of smell kind of goes dead for the next several minutes. And everything sounds like those cotton balls stuffed in your ear. Whatever that gas was, you hope that will dissipate. But what does X do? As you felt this thing. So Millie, how do you react? What is your next action? You don't see any other goblins moving around you. There's lots of dead and wounded. A lot of the townsfolk, the weaker ones, have dropped with that last wave of gas.
I think Millie's running over to the nearest wounded to try and just either stabilize them, get them up, or get them towards the inn.
The dwarf bard follows you. Painted beads on her clothes sort of clattering together as she jogs after you. I've got a bit of training in medicine.
That's good. I've never had the opportunity.
Happy to share what I know. She starts, sort of poking and prodding, lifts Ragna's eyelids up. Stable, I think. No blood gouting out of anywhere obvious.
Let's get her back to the inn. I think we gather people there.
Radwin starts dragging Ragna over.
Oh wait, there's an infirmary. That'll be back.
All right. What about Lokag?
Lokag is as the arrow flies past him, and strikes the witch doctor down. Lokag is going to turn with an angry face to X. That one was mine, and he's going to then, as the cloud bursts, he's gonna cough, like just doing that thing with his tongue, like scraping it against his teeth, trying to get the taste off. But he's gonna he'll work his way back down towards the tavern, and check on, just chat with Baba Bruin, check on him, and just start looking for ways to help out around the town square.
Okay. So you watched Nilnan and Mim, the two halfling coffee purveyors, drop with that last wave of poison gas. You see Elneth come running out with what looks like two beakers, much larger than a potion bottle. Her eyes worried but darting around, looking at all of the dead. But she sort of darts over and begins splashing this potion on, not really even checking wounds. And begins trying to rouse people. She quickly rouses the other wharf rat and Mim and Nilnan. They kind of regain their feet unsteadily and slowly. But you had allied, there was the house guard and Gila up to the north. That fell pretty early. And of course, to the north, there's Bardubel, Captain Garin, Pell, all who have been laying there for some time. So a few rounds anyway. Aside from, sort of maybe grabbing wounded and dragging them toward the infirmary, or, getting high ground and seeing if there's any more enemies around. Nothing else stands out that's obvious to do.
Yeah, he would definitely have an interest in the first people he fought with at that northeastern alleyway, seeing if there's anything he can do to immediately help them, or take them over to Elneth, or so he'll definitely be focused on getting the wounded to assistance as quickly as possible after checking on old Baba Bruin.
So as you sit for a moment with Baba Bruin, doesn't look like he's going to get up and do much at the moment. He's sitting, his elbows are on both knees. He's hunched pretty far over, and he's just breathing. He hasn't even sipped his booze. He hasn't reached for his flask or anything. He just looks at you and gives a ragged and weary nod. Yeah, particularly sort of nodding for you to get up and get to it, indicating he's not going to be much help for the next few minutes.
Yeah. Cool. Seeing that he's good. So he's go and take the wounded to a spot where they can hopefully be healed.
Okay. So you pass Millie and X. Do you say anything to them on the way by? Congratulate them for the battle? Commiserate with them on, any loss? Or what might he say after a glorious battle like this?
He would probably take a moment to look at Millie and say, "Thank you, smelly girl, for your healing hands. They revitalized me, prepared me for a glorious end." And then look at X and just say, just look at X, kind of survey the battlefield, and he's just gonna go, "Your serious face, your scales will be happy today, no?
Matcha will be pleased.
Yes, yes. Indeed. And then he kind of does one of those things where he, like, looks the other direction and he's just kind of like, whoa, that's a crazy person.
Baraduin looks up
So-
sharply, the bard does, when you say Amaka. You can make an insight check for all of you to notice her reaction. And sorry to interrupt. Please go ahead, Luke. I'll describe this in chat to not interrupt y'all's RP.
No. That was wonderfully timed. That was at the end of mine.
Cool. X
17 insight.
X and Millie. Baraduin gives a sort of surprised and somewhat distasteful expression when she hears that name. But she doesn't follow up or say anything. But she seems to tuck the information away for later. And she gives you an appraising. She gives X an appraising and curious look after that, as if she's kind of seeing the strange cleric for the first time. And there's a look of that look of like she might recognize you, which is not entirely surprising for X. I wouldn't imagine. Like he looks different, but if someone looks closely, they might recognize him from drawings or paintings.
Yep, definitely could be so.
Mm-hmm. So she's definitely trying to put two and two together. Right. So yeah, Lokag, as you slip to the north, Clifford kind of slips out of, back up to his feet. He kind of slaps X and Millie both on the shoulder as he slips through. Behind him, you can hear Helena muttering to herself as she rifles through the pockets of the fallen goblins. Worthless. No potions. Look! One of them. Too stupid to use it. She holds up a potion. Obviously, this golden, or this bright, glowing green solution is a potion of healing. She tosses it, inexpertly toward Millie, forcing Millie to really catch this potion so it doesn't shatter. And she just immediately turns back to rifling through goblin pockets. So as you get toward the north, Cliff is sort of hustling along with you. We really made some good work of that. I couldn't get all my shots off, but that was a decent distraction for you, I think. We're quite a team. 2 bugbears, one of them ran away. Another hobgoblin. Always good to take out one of those. That's revenge. But you can, Lokag, make a medicine check as you like. I know you don't have proficiency, but you can still check. And Cliff does as well. Or, can give you advantage. One of the bugbears is, well, you can see that one of the bugbears is breathing pretty obviously. The house guard, there'd be some serious magic to help the house guard. There's a huge, his chest has sort of been caved in by the massive morning stars of bugbears. The spikes on them have just mangled the tissue around it. But Gila has a very faint pulse. She seems to be stable. She's been knocked out. She's going to have a heck of a headache. Might even have memory problems, but some days of rest, perhaps the tender administrations of Millie, or the serious face might rouse Gila. Dwarves are pretty tough.
Hopefully serious face, because Millie's expertise in medicine is not that great.
Yeah. Yeah, so she's at 0 but stable. So you might, slide. She gets brought to the infirmary as well.
Beautiful.
What about the bugbear that's living?
I am assuming it's prone, so
Yes.
I took an attack with advantage, and I got a 21 with my maul.
That's definitely gonna hit, and it's gonna be a crit. So go ahead and roll your damage die twice.
It's 7 plus 3 is 10, so 13.
You
Total
feel,
damage.
as well as hear, the stone crack underneath your feet as the heavy and well-placed hammer blow passes through the thick chest of this creature and breaks the stone, cracks some of the stone beneath.
Lukag will turn to Cliff and just say, "Better to die in battle with honor than be prisoner."
I don't think we're going to learn anything useful from that one. Not sure what they've been through. But, yeah. We look like shock troops. Probably just dumb and dangerous. I'd say that's best.
This makes me happy.
Well, happy songs make you sad then? Shouts Cliff as
X
he...
will try. X
Go
will
ahead.
try to give a smile to Lokag. It's not a very smiley smile, but it's at least an attempt.
We will work on this. I have many funny joke.
The halflings Mim and Nilnan, the standing and surviving wharf rats, Elnith and her partner try to help out the other guards, Argon and Larud. And it's but only the half-elf Phaleth is brought back to standing. Oh, that's the wrong one.
No.
What the heck? Get over there.
Can't you be bringing people back from the dead?
Well, they have a large. It's like a pink solution, perhaps an unreduced healing potion that they're splashing with a ladle, just ladling it on to the wounded, just to see if it rouses them or not. After passing across the north, and they begin to move toward the center north. What's X doing during all this? I mean, obviously, yeah, some interactions there with Lokag, but what business is
So-
X about?
So X is going to do kind of the opposite of what other people are doing. So, with the anybody that looks like they didn't quite make it
Mm-hmm.
and can't be salvaged, X is going to cast. What's the cantrip? Dang it. Repose. Gentle repose.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that. Is there any resurrection magic that's going to be practiced on these people, or because basically general repose just prevents them ever being brought back as undead, right?
Yeah.
So just to be clear, my idea is if they're truly gone and they've crossed over, if they've made the passage to the other side, X would like to seal them there, gentle repose. They can't be brought back as undead. So I'll do that for everybody that truly didn't make it.
Well, you lost what powers you had at one point to call spirits back from the dead, and any others that you know about likely were killed outright when the stone fell in the city center. So until one of you are capable of such a feat of magic, you don't expect anyone's going to be able to raise these people from the dead. So I think it would be fitting, somber, as people know the rites. They're the same words. That people are familiar with this phrase in Sylvan as it's used by priests. And you get a few more eyes looking at you, as if they're trying to puzzle out who you are, where they know you from. Something about your voice seems to catch people as little as you speak. And as you are doing the rites from the dead, make a wisdom saving throw and a religion check. Everything goes black as you are laying these simple rites out, you have no idea what's happening. You don't know what it is about these rites, but you do know her voice. You can almost feel that it's moving through shadow. Her voice echoes as if she's underground somewhere, or in a narrow corridors of stone. Undressed, nothing to stop that echo from bouncing endlessly through the caverns of whatever home your goddess makes for herself. You have done well, X. You have done so well. They will speak my name again, and a grand statue will be made for me. No longer pushed aside. For now is my time, and the time of all the Morrigan. For death flows thickly throughout the city, and throughout your world. I am forgotten during times of peace, during high harvests and festivals of joy. But in war and in famine I am remembered. I am known, and I am called to again. I will give you a boon, my priest, my only priest. You are the perfect one to bring me back into this world. You gave your eloquence to Cuchulainn, losing it when he failed and died. But it was I who caught it when he faded, X. And now I give it back to you. You may speak your eloquence, you may use your silvered tongue, but only in service to me. When you speak words of me to the city, you may use that eloquence of elder days. When you cast spells and draw my magic into this world, you may use that silver tongue. When you do rites for the dead, and when you speak my proclamation aloud, you may use your eloquence. But do not forget, they are only in my service, and I am quite jealous should you use them for any other purpose. The wooing of a lady, the balming of a sore heart, these are not my acts. The shadows grow silent. You can tell she's waiting for some sort of response from you.
I'll send many souls. Glory will be restored.
All right. So I want to...
You will live again.
Yes. Yes. The habit may die hard. But I have lessened the restrictions on your speech somewhat. Again, only in my service. To me you may speak as freely as you wish, and I would take a joy in you doing so. But you
this will take some getting used to.
Ah, yes. That which is rested and hidden long, that which shakes off the dust and climbs into the light. This also brings me pleasure. Return, she says, and the darkness lifts. You almost kind of stagger a step forward, and your mouth still tumbling out the rites to still this corpse and keep necromantic energy from binding it, shaping it, or animating it. Your body barely missed a step. Her words still sort of thunder through the back of your head. The warning and the gift in it. Now, around you, what townsfolk there are, doors swing open. A bookkeeper, folk that, a cook, and the bookseller, a woodworker, Master Dalen, old and sort of shaking Mildred, wounded Talwath that Millie you already raised up, Nilnan and Mim, everybody, the wharf rats, everyone that's standing is helping, dragging the dead goblins out once the wounded are tended to, and those who aren't going to stand are brought along the sides, and sheets are found slowly to cover them. So Millie, as this is, all these things are happening and people are bringing dead back over, or wounded back over to the infirmary. At some point, Lokag is, sort of put Gila up and is, or has probably brought several other wounded and unconscious forms over. What might Millie say during this moment, or do do you say anything to Lokag? Have anything that you want to ask them, or is there something else that Millie's doing right now?
Millie's kind of moved away from the tending of people, as she has having found somebody who can do a bit better, probably. Whether that is our friendly bard, or the person who works at the infirmary. Pulling them in. I think she's been helping Lokag just carry people, retrieve the wounded, or those who were knocked out.
Okay.
Look, how many years have you been doing this fighting things, people?
Anybody have any responses or thoughts about that? Helena's
matches in the arena. You might be muted, Brian.
No, not at this time.
Well, Lena says, judging by the size of that stone and how many goblins we've already killed, we'll probably be at this for some years. This is how things are now,
right.
She says, somewhat
I think you guys might have misheard. I did. Lokag. How long he had been fighting like this.
Oh, so sorry.
Okay. I think I did mishear that.
Yeah, I did too. Thanks for that clarification.
Yep.
Lokag would say, I came down from the mountains many years ago, but I came to seek my challenge among the lowland people. I have been in the pits for several years now, as my time goes, but I have never seen anything like this. In the pits there are some rules and respect for your competitors. These things that fight us, they have no love for it. No rules.
There are rules, yes. They do seem very odd. Why this town? Why our town?
Maybe this is where just stone land. But it is a good time. It is a test from the gods. It is a chance for us to prove ourselves and seek a glorious death in battle.
I've never thought about dying in battle, but I suppose there are certainly worse ways to die.
Indeed. Old and sick in bed is no way to go.
and starved, decaying on the side of a road.
Yes, this is not optimal.
Perhaps you could teach me a thing or two on how to wield this blade a little better when things calm down a bit.
Of course, of course. I'm always happy. I need good sparring partners anyways. But yes, this is a true fight for your life, not just to show strength but this is the true test.
Well, usually I just run or, I don't know, get hurt enough to where I seem to disappear and reappear elsewhere, but so far well, you all have been good at protecting me, so I want to protect you.
Ah, yes, smelly girl. You are stronger than you appear, and you will make a fine warrior. But not everyone's place is warrior. For if everyone was warrior, who would do the cooking and the healing? Is nobility in all paths. As long as you do them well.
Hopefully one can mix a little bit of it up again.
Yes, of course.
Alright, here's another for the infirmary.
Helena continues to... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, I would just start walking somebody else towards the infirmary.
Helena has sort of scouted... one I forgot to draw off. Because yeah, some of the goblins to the south slipped away. It looks like I forgot one there. To actually remove them from the map, so... but yeah, Helena sort of slips around south. She's watching the alleyways and listening, but she definitely moves around and picks over, tries to search over the goblin corpses. She comes back with a lot of copper, but about 5 gold worth of copper collected from them. And she does end up bundling all of their weapons and gathering them all together. Sets them next to... probably Lokag or whoever's the most stationary. We have more to sell to Mildred, she says. Not in good shape, but we should get at least some more arrows from them. And she catches Millie and Lokag talking about the fight, and Lokag mentioning, a time to be tested by the gods and to be seen, to prove ourselves, and to seek, to earn a glorious death. She nudges one of the goblins with her foe. I'm more on the side of offering those. AX, says Helena. They die really well. She nudges the goblin again.
Yes, they died well for goblins, I suppose.
Huh? What's wrong with you, X? Says Helena. You're talking funny. She gives you a shrewd
Sorry.
look.
I have a lot to think about.
She kind of cocks her head.
Primarily, how happy I am that these goblins are passed along.
Yes. We did a great job. I didn't think we were going to survive that. All of us, anyway. But that's what happens when the rats swarm, eh? And swarm we did.
Indeed.
Right. So yeah, allies are piled up. It seems that Captain Garin is dead.
What about Pell?
Pell is alive. It's in pretty rough shape, but stable. Yeah, two of the wharf rats bring him back. But yeah, the old smith, Bardabel, did not make it. There are other people capable of running the smithy, but whatever reward he offered for his safe return of his apprentice might not be able to receive from him anymore. Although one of the other forge workers might have something to say about that. But as the square somewhat recovers, you can still hear ragged fighting continuing several streets over, several blocks away. You hear again that sort of brassy, broken horn to the north, likely rallying whatever goblins survived their ill-planned attack on the market square, trying to regather and regroup, and likely move back to the stone or move forward with whatever their next set of orders or next plan is. I think this is a good spot to pause and take a short break. We usually take it about an hour and a half in, but yeah, not today. We're taking it a little bit late, so yeah, if anyone needs to step away for a few minutes, I think yeah, now's a good time for a break. If any, of course, if our viewers, if y'all need to step away or do something else for a minute, we're gonna take 10. Some of us will stay here in chat and yeah, sort of shoot the breeze, check in with chat more with more focus, and see what y'all are thinking about the next plans. So yeah, and I'm thinking of experimenting. I've never run an ad before on here. I'm considering doing that. That's hence me warning everybody, so you all can mute or step away, or whichever. But yeah, so let's take a short break and come back here in a few. I'm gonna run a 60-second ad right this. Yeah, let's see. I think here in a few minutes, or here in a minute, I'm going to. Heck yes. So yeah, just so everyone has the warning. In a minute, I will be running those. So whoever needs to step away, I'm going to be here for a few moments, and then I'll need to step away for a moment and grab some water and stuff.
Now we get to judge if its ads are as loud as YouTube or as Amazon's loud ads.
All right, yeah, this is my first one. I've never done any of this. Just doing what I can to sort of bring a little funding our way so we can improve the stream and all that stuff. We've got some new things we want to introduce, but some of them are taking a little bit more research, and we may have to pay an expert to get some of the things worked out. So we're all busy people. We all have a job aside from doing our stream here on Sundays. So, but yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and run this ad real quick. So go ahead and do what you've got to do, and we'll see you all in just a minute. Or actually, I'm clicking it now. I'm not sure if it's actually going to immediately run or how that works.
I assume.
But I think it's running right now.
Oh, there it goes. Ian Feanor is taking an ad break. Stick around. Yes. Taking an ad break. Stick around.
Interesting.
We got Dove body soap and something that airs September 26th. With Ryan Murphy in it.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. This is interesting. These darn day jobs, right? Thank goodness, though. I mean, even if you don't like your job, it's better to have one than not have one. A lot of times. I mean, obviously, though, we do have those times where you've just got to take that. You got to make that move. Isn't that right, DL?
Yep.
Oh, no. I don't think I've ever told you guys that my internship, the thing that started me down the path of software systems engineering, I literally walked out of my restaurant job. It was just like right at the middle of college, and I was like, it's the only job I've ever walked out of. I've never been pushed so far. And I think it was 2 weeks on nothing. And then somebody from at the time small business called me and asked me for the internship. And so I was like, weird, strange. Yeah, it always feels stressful, but luckily at that time things cost less.
Totally. All right. So, let's see here. Little, coming up in game, there'll be a little bit of peace, and you'll be able to rest and make some plans. Obviously, I'm sure you all have some things on your mind that you want to do, people to check on, or maybe just preparing for your next excursion out of the market square through the sort of war-torn and beleaguered city. But thankfully, the party has Millie and Helena to help them avoid a lot of entanglements and find good positions to snipe from or ambush from or anything like that. So yeah, I'm curious what some of our viewers think the party should do next. Should they, bring the fight immediately to the Goblin Stone and go try to start rescuing prisoners, or should they spend like a day or maybe two sort of shoring up the square and crafting and making stuff and making plans and stuff like that? So those are my thoughts. If any of our viewers have any thoughts, but also if either of you three have any thoughts on that. And leaving you with that for a few minutes, I'm going to step away and grab some water, and I will be back.
So what you guys thinking?
I think we all dress up like goblins and go in.
Ooh, interesting.
I do have proficiency in disguise kit. I could dress up like a bugbear.
As should Helena.
I wouldn't mind an excursion back into the stone, leaving some instructions behind. I would probably want to. I'm thinking long rest here, and then maybe give some instructions and start heading back to the stone. So the more we can occupy the goblins at the stone, hopefully the less they can throw out here. But
yeah,
I don't know how much of an impact we can make if it'll protect the square.
Right. I'm kind of curious. Like 6 entrances to the square. Like maybe we can get them to cut that down to an entrance to the square, or maybe an entrance with a rear escape to the square.
Like stone up some of the alleyways. Maybe leave the north and the south as like gated entrances. So
but I'm not sure.
Could...
None of us are proficient in masonry, are we?
Say again.
Anyone have mason's tools?
I don't. I have strength, so I could pick up blocks and stuff. I was thinking maybe we could spend a day here. It might incur another goblin attack, but we could potentially spend a day here and fortify the east and west alleyways.
Yeah. Even like strong wood fortifications.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be too bad.
What about you, DL? What are you thinking?
What is our very long-term goal? So if we think out through the whole campaign, what's the point? Um, the only way to stop the incursion, in theory, is to solve the Goblin Stone, whatever solve means.
Right.
I assume we have to take out the masters that these goblins
Yes.
seem to want meat for.
Oh, is it
I
meat
have
for
this-
them?
Yeah, I have this
Just click
like
control, okay.
it's a weird sense of wanting to rescue people, because like I feel like if we don't rescue people within a certain timeline, that we're gonna start finding dead bodies being thrown out of the stone or something. Like we'll kill a hostage every 3 days until something happens or something like that. So
I don't know if they'll find bodies. I'm pretty sure they'll eat them.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I know
maybe we'll get
DM
bones.
hasn't specifically said there's like a time limit on something, but X feels the pressure of a time limit. For whatever reason, I feel like if we don't rescue people, I don't know.
No, I think you're right.
So that
I do think you're right. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like I said, it's a weird kind of like personal feeling about it. There's no logic behind that other than wanting to be a good guy and save some people. So I think my default position is whenever we have an option to do something, getting into Goblin Stone to quote solve it, whatever that is, and looking to rescue people as the first part of that. So that's how I think, and it's just because that's logically what seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to do that, I don't think we go in the way we went in, because clearly
No,
that just doesn't work.
it's too hard to get
Takes
to the
us-
second shelf.
Yeah, it takes us too long, and there's too many creatures around it. So maybe there's somewhere else we can get in. We can go at least find that place first.
The goblins are certainly getting out, to fight, and
They must have really long ladders.
perhaps. Yeah.
But I think that's the trade-off, right? X, if we go save the people in the stone, there's a higher chance we lose the people in the square, or lose the square altogether, just from other incursions. If we don't do anything here,
Yep, that could be the case too.
I don't know if there's a a better solution.
The sense that you all have, is that this is some sort of invasion, and with any invasion there's a plan, and there's a timeline to that invasion. So it makes sense that X would be like, yeah, there's a time frame to this, and you have reason to suspect that you got intimations that there's a powerful ritual going on within the stone, and that souls are being sacrificed to that. So the meat might have two meanings, feeding this a beast of magic, and feeding an army. So as far as your sense of, it makes sense, I think, that you'd feel like, the hostage's time is limited, that would all make sense, I think.
So we rest and then go into the stone.
Yeah.
Find anyone.
I think it's some of each. I mean, tomorrow morning we can try to do some things with the square and get leave it in better shape. So
Well, it seems the goblins are less active in the mornings, right? So it'd be better for us to get there in the early morning as possible.
okay, so then I guess the question is, do we spend a day in the square before we go back to the stone, or do we just go back?
I'm
And
in
just
favor
over-
of spending a day in the stone, but
The stone? You mean the
Lokag
square?
is pretty. The square, yes, thank you.
Mhm.
But the Lokag is pretty set on sticking with this original party. So he's gonna, if he's the only one who feels that way, he's going to go with you all to the stone, and he'll make that position clear. But he thinks, like him and we were talking about with Millie, closing up these east and west alleys with more permanent, better barricades, and leaving only the south and the north to be, the more like where people can get in and out,
Okay.
or even just the north. So, but if we think spending a day, I mean, like, that may incur another goblin attack that next night, and then we're right back here in this position where we're having to fight them off at night. But yeah,
I guess that'd be the quest, right? If we have to fight them again and take another long rest, that's effectively another 2 days that we're
Yeah.
outside of the stone.
yeah. I do like the idea of getting to the stone in the wee hours of the morning. I think that
What if
that
we
is
just-
a good idea.
Fortified a building. Told everyone, like, just hunker down until we return.
That might could work.
I guess I'd be curious if people would be open, like, not us people, the party would be open, but if the shopkeepers and workers would be open to that, leaving their shops possibly to get raided by the goblins.
Yeah, you think so. It'd be, a matter of convincing the main merchants, like Baba Brune, the alchemists, Mildred, which you feel like, they're taking their cues from you at this point. So yeah, you feel like you could do that. And the best building you could think of would be the smithy. It's got a heavy stone walls. It's got a pretty large sub-basement and a large second story. It's probably the roomiest and best fortified. It even has a stone roof instead of wooden shingles or something. So it's probably the safest, most fortified. There's 2 entrances in, one that goes into the basement and one that goes into the main house. But those both connect from inside too. So they can be locked and barred from the inside, and they're pretty solid doors.
You think, I don't know what kind of expertise anyone on the team has in, like, trap making or anything like that? And trap the back door.
I feel like Helena's got some sort of skills there, but I could be wrong. No, thieves' tools and disguise kit. So not anything in particular there. But yeah, there's one of the wharf rats can make simple snares. He's used to catching rats and stuff. He doesn't say that where Helena can hear it, but so he can kind of scale those up. He thinks he can tangle the feet of some goblins in a given area.
Maybe like a net drop, a small tiny net falling on their heads. Anything.
The wharf rats can weave a net now. They can weave some nets. You don't have any, but you've got rope. They can take several lengths of rope and weave you a good solid net, or 2, and they could do that pretty quickly. So you have to unravel the rope down into the individual strands, and then go from there.
What do you guys think?
I think if you guys would humor me, I think X would be all in on this idea. I would like to make basically half of the building into a church, and we got some apothecaries and some people in town that might be open to the teachings of. Do you want to say matcha or maca, which is appropriate, DM?
Let's see. I think maca's fine.
Okay, so I would like to start a Church of Maka inside this building and try to give people a reason to get together and say, we'll have this be like the soldiers' bunkers on half of it, and then like for the people that get hurt, it's an infirmary. For the people that don't make it, it's a way to respect and properly usher the souls across to the other side, and kind of, try to kindle a little spark of Maka here in the as a center point for the village. If that's taking it too far, you guys can tell me no, but that's, I think, what X would want to do.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think Moe, that's a pretty good idea. I have no idea what Maka is, but sounds beneficial to the community.
Helena would say, well, I don't really have any use for religion myself, but it does seem to calm people down and keep them from panicking. It seems useful.
I know you lowlanders like to have your own religions, but and so if this must be the one that these people believe, that is fine. It's just about as good as one that I have seen down from the mountains.
This system of beliefs is good now in this time of war. It makes sense that death is now a part of life.
Grunts Clifford. Oh. Something wrong with me that I found that kind of poetical?
Poetical word.
Well, sure.
Sounds like a good word to me.
Of course poetical's a word,
Building
says
what it
Helena.
wants.
Ask what it wants?
I said I could ask the building what it wants.
How would you do that, says Helena.
Never mind, I think it's too big.
Her face screws up in confusion. What does the size matter? You can talk to a building or you can't.
So
It's
I'm
not
also
really that.
interested.
I could talk to an object, but I don't feel like a building is. I feel like that's too large.
This is a
Well,
grammar
you can
question.
talk to-
Go ahead.
You can talk to the picture of Maka that I just drew on the wall.
Is that your mother, X? Who is that?
This is my lady, my queen.
Oh, says Helena. That's a terrible drawing, she says. Won't she be mad?
Artistic. She goes by intent, not strictly by quality.
Seems like a lot of room for
X just
loopholes.
X just makes that up on the spot.
Yeah.
Because he's like not a good artist, so he's gonna have some excuse for his bad drawing.
She tries her hand at it. She says, no. You really have to capture the jawline. You have to think about the muscles underneath. And she does an equally bad drawing. It just looks entirely different than yours. But she says, now, see? I'll leave this up and you can take some pointers from it, she says haughtily.
The nose is entirely too big. Entirely too big.
What's wrong with that, she says, reaching up to her own nose. Big noses are noble. At least that's what the rich folks say.
It makes her look more like a witch than she is. She is a witch, but not that kind of witch. X is just confused. He doesn't even know what to say.
You're talking so funny.
I think Millie's like, this is my queen. Kind of just watching X, trying to figure out his kind of intent. If there's anything more nefarious, I suppose.
You definitely notice his speech pattern has always been weird, and it changed again. You can make a religion check as he mentions the
I'm
Maka.
super good at those intelligence-based checks.
Yeah. You could sub out wisdom for it. That would be fine. Or
Now you're good. 14.
Not bad. 14.
I have to be bad at it, so we're all good.
It's not. You didn't. I mean, I'm not sure how much Millie studied or just picked up stuff about the gods from osmosis, right?
There was word on the streets.
Right.
Oh, I know.
So you've heard of the Morrigan, which is a scary. She's a battlefield goddess. She claims the dead, and sees them through to the afterlife as at least one of the functions. But I've also heard there's a bunch of different names for Morrigan, and you think Maka was one of them. If so, that's somewhat discomforting, as she was said to be one of the Tuatha Dea, but that she was, at least according to the tales, she was harsh and imperious and arrogant, even to the other gods. At least that is the story, and that she angered the other gods and was sort of cast out of their halls, and in fact had to seek her own realms in which to live. It's said that the Morrigan has sort of been wandering through the halls of eternity, trying to find one who will speak her name. She's a goddess of, at least from what little you've heard, she's spoken of in superstitions, like she's associated with bad times. That doesn't, again, you haven't studied, so you just know what you've heard people talk about, and the name is not spoken well.
I think Millie just observes, just seems to be taking an observational approach to whatever X is doing.
Just kind of above the table, my read on it is kind of like when somebody claims that they're in neutral alignment, it might mean that they don't really take a stand on good or evil as such at all, or druids love nature, so they're not really into the whole good or evil thing. My take on the Morrigan is that she's actively neutral. Like, when good things happen, she does evil things to balance them out. When evil things happen, she'll help people to balance things out. Like, she's neither good nor bad, but actively enforcing that sort of balance of black and white. Just my interpretation.
No, I would agree. But the townsfolk don't necessarily hold that knowledge of her.
Yeah, no, and she's not. I think in terms of, like, if you ask, is she a nice goddess, the answer to that would be no.
No. Yeah. No, she is a fell power among the gods. Okay. So yeah, you've observed X doing small rites for the dead. You kind of get the sense of preservation being laid over them, and somehow being sustained in their current rest. And yeah, there's nothing that stands out to make you make a in particular insight check on any event, but you could attempt to make one on X if you wish to.
Well, no, just kind of. I don't think she's just knowing kind of what she knows about Morgan. Her intention is just to observe for now.
One thing you definitely
Kind of
notice. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just to kind of see where, maybe how he's interpreting it, or how it's being interpreted by a person closer to the source.
Okay. He's definitely honoring the dead. There's no sense of enjoying their suffering or anything like that. There's no sense of sadness. I don't imagine, right? From X, he's not necessarily sad for these goblins or for the townsfolk in the same way. Or is he? You tell me, DL. Do you have a somber mood about him as he does these rites, or?
Yeah, he's certainly not happy that people have died, right? Like, that's not the point. But once they have died, the idea of getting them properly respected and taken across to the other side is kind of like a shepherd, right? So it's, well, now that it's happened, there's no going back, so let's make sure it's done in the right way and respectfully. And so yeah, I'm not happy that people died, but I think X would be quite, he'd be quite satisfied that the goblins are dead. He's kind of vindictive in that regard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the rites, he does rites. You've seen some of these before, and you noticed a well-worn practice in these motions. That you just get the sense that X has done these rites hundreds of times for over long years of his life. And given his, power level, he wasn't in the sort of temple grounds when it was smashed. He didn't have any sigils of any of the known and commonly worshipped gods. But all of the Dea's temple rites, he seems to know them. Like not just an acolyte, but there's a smoothness and a depth to the motion that this person's craft. Long years have gone into it, and he's not a human, so that says something, especially.
I think this, it's like the first time Millie met X, he was ridiculously good at ending the lives of goblins.
Yep.
And using these strange tattoos and magics of his own, and now I think she's just makes a lot of sense.
His face is starting to become familiar, in that you can't quite put your finger on it kind of way. That it's the question, like, is this person familiar, or have I just been through a lot of weird stuff with them in the short time I've known them? But the question keeps coming up every time you see them from a new angle, or a new light falls on his face, or you see him concentrating on something new, because you're observing him for the next couple of hours, and that feeling keeps coming back. That is he familiar? Do you recognize this person? It just, that question keeps coming up. You can make a history check if you like.
Yes. Another intelligence.
Yeah, another intelligence check.
But not 20.
Nice.
This is my life, guys. I roll terribly on things that I have high modifiers to, and amazing on things that I have 0.
You've seen through the gates and some of the high windows at some of the massive paintings in the great halls among the temple grounds. Massive, 6 times larger than life paintings through massive crystal windows. You can gaze into the courtyard through the gates and look at both of these corridors going off from the main entrance. These massive paintings. One of them depicts a very gaunt, elven priest. Does not, correct me, did not have the tattoos, right, DL?
No, not at that time. No.
Yep. It's old too. It's at least 100 years old, you would say. And yeah, again, no tattoos. The robes are a bright blue. And you've seen them before, and you know they go to some god, but you don't know what god it was. But these are very important people. Only the highest of the high among the worshippers of the Tuatha De Danann have a picture painted in the great halls. And you recognize X from one of those paintings.
Those times at the soup kitchens are paying off.
Indeed. So I'm gonna, if it's all right, I'm gonna slip over to Lokag.
Indeed.
All right. So yeah, what is Lokag doing during? You've kind of talked about some of your plans, getting some different defenses or different things going. But what is Lokag focusing on as the dead are being tended and orders are being carried out?
I think Lokag is going to be focused on, while so many people are being tended and they're hurt, they're down a lot of manpower right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to be focused on continuing to build up, he knows he's a big guy, he's got a lot of strength, he can move a lot of stuff faster than a lot of people can.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna focus on trying to reinforce those east and west alleyways. At least bring as much of the raw material over that that they could use, like maybe stones or heavy pieces of wood. Kind of sure up, the wagons were a great improvisation, but they're clearly easily scaled, or even you can go under them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe even using his hammer to break down those wagons and secure them with a regular hammer and nails in the alleyways.
Okay. There are lots of empty crates. There's scrap material. People, there's not all of the houses need the inside doors, and those could be used. The woodworking shop has tables and benches and stools and some, large wooden structures. There's also a workshop in the back lot behind it with larger pieces of wood. With who's left, it would take you, well, if you're going to start tonight, you're working at dark, everyone's exhausted. But for tonight, it's easy to move crates and just sort of get more stuff piled up in those areas and set a small watch. But once the morning dawns, you'll have some people that are back up on their feet. You'll have a better work crew, and you can start really blocking up those alleys.
So I think, he'll bring heavy stuff over to the alleyways as much as he can, but he's not going to miss out on an opportunity for a long rest here. So, once maybe a couple hours go by, he's going to head to the tavern. He might have an ale, but he's not going to get drunk. But he's probably going to try and find a place to pass out. And take a good long rest.
All right. So after assessing who's around and who's on their feet, two of the wharf rats, or you got three of the wharf rats. You've got one of the guards, Falneth, the half elf, and a couple others still on their feet. All of them, you talk them all up onto the rooftops as overwatch and block up as best you can, or better, continuing to barricade yourselves in here for the night, having a small watch. You all can go ahead and calculate that long rest. as you get your third official long rest for the campaign. But the night is alive. You can hear the continued shouting of goblins. You can make insight checks or survival checks, or perception. Insight, survival, or perception checks. See if you can discern some of the sounds that you're hearing. The hooting and shouting of goblins, a deep bellowing grunt, which must be the occasional bugbear.
It's just a 4 for low CAG.
Okay.
16 perception for us.
11 for Millie on survival.
Okay. All right. So between you all, it sounds like the area of town to the northwest of you that was also being attacked. It sounds as if it's being overrun. You hear screams of some townsfolk. You hear the frenzied shouting of those making a final stand, and you hear the explosion of exultation, of wild cries of abandon from the goblins, and you hear the roaring of some bugbears, and the sort of sharper, more shrill voices of some of hobgoblins. Very few of those, and they're drowned out mostly by the goblins, but you've got pretty good ears. You also hear the sounds of goblins shouting, chanting, singing, yelling, or fighting, but it sounds like they're fighting amongst themselves at different places. It's echoing in from sort of all around you, different areas in this neighborhood or different neighborhoods around. You can see the light of bonfires here in multiple places around you, shining up on the sides of any building that climbs above 3 stories. Especially as you look up the hill and you can kind of see more of the buildings standing out above you. You can see here and there some thin columns of fire drifting up. Some of these are likely buildings on fire, but most of these you expect are goblin night camps as they go out and raid, find any other groups of defenders, or perhaps they're just sacking and looting buildings and setting them on fire and returning, piling their loot together and maybe fighting over it. In either case, you also see at different points throughout the night, you'll see large, vague shapes floating out from the top of the stone, kissed with moonlight. You can see the naked top of the stone and sort of oblong balloon-like shapes that maybe have thick tendrils wavering around the edges. And they're partially translucent as one of them passes over the moon. You can kind of see through it. It looks to be large, like a large slime creature, but it's floating. None of them come near. They only drift around the top of the stone for a few hours before they fade from view. The cries, chanting, and the revelry of the goblins continues. Occasionally, listening to it, Cliff shudders at what he hears. If anybody asks, he just shakes his head and says, "You don't want to hear what they're singing." Even you, X. I think we'll just let the goblins have that. But that sour look never really leaves his face until he turns in for the night. No watch, none of the wharf rats or other guards call out. The night for the square passes uneventfully, so you all are able to rest, get half your hit die back, and all of your hit points, your class abilities. And oddly, you all sleep very solidly. Millie, you have dreams of voices. They sound like, and in the dream, it's your family. You're in a big house. You can look out and there's a beautiful yard. It's sort of a lawn-like, but around the edges there's fruiting trees and tended plants. There's a forest out beyond a mountain. A single mountain climbs up out of the forest. It's wreathed in clouds. The voices, you're at a large table. You can't see any of the faces, but you're not looking. You're eating an amazing meal of foods you've never had before. But the voices are familiar. They're your aunts and your uncles and, a neighborhood friend that's there, but they're all older than you and they're all wise. And you're aware within the dream that this is a dream, but it's that it's for you a feeling that Millie had never had. Fills you, sort of suffuses your being. It draws something up that's been hidden and hiding inside you, and it soothes that thing. It draws it sort of almost quivering up to the light of community. And the other thing that you realize with the dream is that you're an adult among these people. You have a seat at the table. You catch yourself saying something to these others, and others nod, maybe correcting or maybe agreeing, but adding something to it. And as you awake, you have the strong sensation that this was a real dream, and you're pretty sure that there's an older aunt, a favorite aunt in the dream, and she reminds you of Bridget's fire. And as you're waking up, your mind concludes without you. It just sort of provides you with the information that this was the gods. This was the Tuatha Te Danann. There were lots and lots of voices. Is there anything that you think you said at that point, or anything that you say, when you come to, or how does Millie react to that?
I think as Millie wakes up, it was more people than I've ever seen at a table. It's kind of nice.
Table, says Helena from a cot nearby. That reminds me of how hungry I am. Let's eat, she says. Orphans. Together, shall we?
Yep. We'll find something before the others do.
Lokag's still snoring.
We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back for them.
You're so kind. Well, I'll let you do that, she says.
I know you have to feed your rats.
Oh, you're my most important rat, she says. Says you all walk across the square toward the dining hall. Lokag, you slept like, well, a prize gladiator who has won the day 3 days running, who has all the coin and food to show for it. You awake refreshed. No strange dreams for Lokag. What is Lokag? What are his, immediate thoughts? What does he do first thing?
Well, first thing he's gonna do is he's gonna do a massive stretch, and Lokang does this thing in the mornings, right, where he goes through all these poses and stretches out all his muscles, and it's like with every single one of them, it's like the loudest cracks and pops you've ever heard coming out of a creature. Maybe his joints are just bigger than most people, but I mean it's just like pop, pop, and just like you can tell he's loosening up for the day.
It wakes some people up nearby.
Yeah. I mean, he gets up, he just moves his neck from side to side, and it's just like it's like a bag of popcorn popping in the microwave. Like, but he'll probably go find find the party, see if anybody's grouping up for breakfast, or and he's fresh. He's ready to start the day. He wants to know what we're doing. Are we staying here? Are we going to the stone? And he's ready for either. Another long day of battle.
So you step around toward the door just in time to see Millie and Helena slip into the doors of the dining hall, sneaking out ahead of you and everybody else to get some food.
Oh, trying to eat breakfast without me. That it will not do. So he'll head straight to the dining hall.
Well, save some for us, she says. Helena says. But Millie, you know she was about to say something else, but sort of looked up and seemed to, reassess. She really likes Lokag. There's a certain softening in her gaze when she looks at him. And you think she just wants to do something nice? Though she'd probably never say that, or wouldn't think that was the case herself.
Another good thing about being in a mass of street urchins, you do learn how to cook with practically nothing available. Or, whatever you can go through without getting caught.
This is a feast, says Helena. Fresh bread, butter's not rancid.
Lokag will certainly be bragging about how much he could eat in a single sitting, and talk about how he's normally, needs to eat twice as much as lowlander humans and humanoids. But while he's bragging about it and talking about how much he can eat and maybe like feast from his home village, he's gonna get like a pretty normal, like a portion size human plate. Like, he's not gonna take more than his rations. He's gonna talk it up a lot, but he's gonna only take like a reasonable amount. Doesn't want to. He's not gonna say it, but he doesn't want to take the townsfolk's rations from them. He'll still a Cliff Bar any day, but
Meanwhile,
X will eat
go ahead.
1/3 of a muffin and then give the rest to Lokag.
Lokag eats the other 2/3 in one. He eats it like a mini muffin.
Pops it in his mouth.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Helena is like just massive glops and portion. She has a half a loaf of bread to herself. She's taken one of the crocks of butter. She's got a small stack of slabs of what is probably the last of the ham. Yeah, food stores will probably need to be a thing soon. It probably occurs to Millie, given your propensity and your goddess. But you know that there's lots of loot to be found in the Goblin Stone. Those are the places you could think of as an urchin, where you could probably, a warehouse that maybe they haven't gotten into and that sort of thing as well. But you started to say something.
I think Millie would cut the ham in half at some point, just kind of handing it away from, leave her a reasonable chunk, but move the other half back to where people can get it.
She pauses at some point, and she's like, I can't believe I ate all of that, as you disappeared some of her portion.
You were ravenous. What can we say?
Still I am. Doesn't feel like I ate that. Go ahead.
Whole ham. You should be full. Millie will take a smaller portion. Not for any particular reason more than that thought of, if these people run out of food, who knows when they could be getting it.
Mm-hmm. So as you all, you all eat. Some of the townsfolk that come in pretty quickly. Pell limps in behind you. His chest, all and part of his neck, swaddled in bandages. He has his sword strapped on his hip, and he's using a spear to help him walk into the place. He nods that sort of lopsided grin at Millie and Lokag, and gives a proper, he attempted a proper bow toward Helena. Helena just laughs as if he's made a great joke. Ha ha! Yes, bow. We are the new lords and ladies of the market square. She rasps. Can't tell if she's serious or not.
No, really, you do not need to bow to us.
Say again.
I said you really don't need to bow to us.
Well, should start practicing now. After all of this is over, y'all are going to be in charge of some stuff, and that's on you, Millie. I am going to skate free with a title and some coin and a good job somewhere.
Well, you do a good job here. And Lokag is going to look kind of side-eyed at Millie and then look up at Pell and say, Captain Pell.
I like the sound of that. Merchant Marines for me. Hazard pay all day. The young man grunts as he levers himself into a seat.
The captain fell last night, and these people will need a new one. And we saw you fighting at the northern gate, so we think maybe you will be the best for this position. I don't think many will disagree.
He looks back and forth to each of you. Helena is not even paying attention. She's still eating.
Back to eating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well, that's...
not like we're authority of this town, city.
Well...
Of these people. I think you'd make a good captain.
Well, you probably got as much say as what happens as anyone with a deed. And the only official authority... he died during the last fight. So, everyone's listening to what you all say. But it's a hell of an honor and a responsibility, says the young man. His brows beetle down under that shock of dark hair. Looks back up at Millie and Lokag. I'm good for it. It kept me alive. I should do something good with it, right? So,
Well, you're gonna have to keep these people alive while we head back in.
he pauses, some cup of tea halfway up to his lips. Going back in already? Yeah. If that's what's got to be done. Yeah, we'll hold them together. Me and the wharf rats, Baba Brune. Yeah. You go in there, you bring the fight to him, and we'll keep everyone alive here. And bring some friends back to us. He falls quiet, looks down to his food and begins eating. Sips his tea, sets it down. I'd like to step back over to X before we pause for the session. X, you have a dream, but the dream is just this. A body's relief after a great weight has been lifted. How the mind will drift and wander in its own courses when freed, when no longer pinioned by a single question or a single thought. The question is still there. What happened to Cuchulainn? Why exactly is his name no longer spoken? but the weight of that mystery is peeled away from you. It's been sort of drawn over toward a luxury. It's not something that your whole being is clamoring out, that demands answer, and that you're sort of shuffling through your everyday life, a shadow of your former existence, with this question unanswered. Now, a new purpose fills you, and power comes to your call again. You have a purpose. Life is clear again. There's a greater power directing you, and there's the certainty that comes with it. So you rest well. Is there any particular morning ritual or anything that you do in the morning?
Well, X is an elf, so he gets that, 4 hours is enough kind of special stuff. So X is, I think his MO would be to stay up very late. So after everybody else has gone to bed in the darkest hours of the night, that's when he would kind of, sit still and meditate and, think about what's to come. So his ritual would be really around that. Staying up really late and then taking his 4 hours like right before morning.
Yeah, I like that. I like that scene. You sitting up on the rooftop while your allies bed down. You're not on watch, but you're up, maybe on the roofs. You can hear all of the terrifying and dark sounds of the city. The goblins in their excitement over their grisly acts, the furthering of their unknown plan of their masters. The purpose served by today, your sending souls to Maka, and absolutely, you being re-gifted your bard's tongue, as the people of this area say it, and contemplating tomorrow's acts and works of your going back down into that dark place to send more souls to the matcha. And so you're awake through the sort of petering off of the goblin revelries. You can hear your archers check in with each other, signaling, clicking, fierce whispers occasionally, and you're there as dawn breaks and the first golden light plays upon this invading stone of almost worm-eaten holes, and carved into it galleries, old pillars, half-formed carvings, as if many arts were started and given up on, or perhaps the goblins killed by others of their hand before their work was finished. And you can hear your allies gathering together. You spot Millie and Helena slipping across the still sort of dim plaza toward, to get some of the earliest bread of the day. And you hear Lokag sort of shuffle after them, Cliff along with him. So I think this is a good spot to pause, as your allies you're eating, you've come out of your meditation for the night. You heard all those things, but you didn't really factor them in because you're meditating, And the way I think of the Elven meditation is, there's this old idea in 2nd edition, which is the reverie, right? Which is that elves, they live a long time, and their memories can get out of order. Dreams and visions and a vividly told story can register just as strongly in their minds as a memory. So they have to sort through themselves and sort of reorder and sort their memories. And it's not that they're, and keep themselves and their psyche intact in that same sort of structure and framework. And all elves know that you will change over time, because it's still you kind of creating yourself. You're creating who you're going to be by how you order your memories. But still, the idea is that you're staying true to this initial place and time of birth, and these formative memories, and the sort of gifts that your family bestowed upon you at your birth. And so for you, it's a fugue of present and past weaving together, and all of them sort of come together and gel. You kind of, as you finish your meditation, as the first rays of the sun, and as you maybe you stand and stretch after sitting for several hours, the sun's light now playing over the city. It seems to have survived another night beneath the Goblin Stone. And this is where we will pause for the session. Good times, y'all. Good session. We went a little bit long tonight, so I think maybe instead of any really intense checking in, I'll just ask you what your favorite moment of the session was. So, Big Bri, any big moments of the session for you?
Yeah, I thought the when that hill giant disappeared and the goblin witch doctor failed their check, I was like, oh wow! I immediately felt so much better about how this battle was going to go, and that I think that was kind of the climax of tension for me, and it started to drastically decline after that. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Totally. Heck yeah. How about you, J Fink? Standout moment of the session?
Yeah, that was definitely one of them. Finally being able to use the kind of channel divinities for the paladin subclass, and then definitely just kind of being an observer, a listener, as you told about the X's story is very interesting.
Heck yeah. How about you, DL, Loquitur? Any standout moment?
So that was a big night for X's development. I think he's made a big step as a character, and I like that we can start getting the religion reestablished and stuff like that. It's kind of a fun thing in game to try to do without sort of annoying or offending other people in town or whatever. So I like the development for my character. That was awesome tonight, so appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
And also, just kind of as a side note, I did decide to go into 2 levels of rogue before I just go cleric forever.
Mm-hmm.
And man, cunning action was like so ridiculous this combat. Being able to re-hide and the dash as a bonus action, and oh my god,
Yeah.
it felt so good.
Yeah.
So I was a little reluctant with that choice. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go
man.
to second level rogue
Yeah.
or not, but man, I feel like the character is going to be really mobile and really fun to play. So that was fun last session and this session.
I have to say, Rogue Cleric is far and away my favorite multi-class combo. Just love it, especially with the new 5e I say new, but 5e subclasses, because it's been my favorite combo since 2nd edition. But yeah, heck yeah. Millie, J Fink, you had some input there. What'd you?
No, that's all I was saying was never regret the rogue dip.
Yeah, a 1-level rogue dip is a waste to me, because that cunning action, you're so close, and that cunning action is so useful.
Yeah, it's like have a useful bonus action for the rest of the entire time you play your character.
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah, it's super great, super great. I really my favorite thing, that's not any particular moment, but I just really liked I liked y'all's roleplay tonight, and sort of leading into those moments, taking those opportunities, because I know with combat it can get kind of fast and furious, and we can all be focused on keeping the game moving, which is could be an issue with D&D in any edition, but especially the later editions. So yeah, we have to get role play out. We got to find those opportunities, even in combat, to shout out or role play or say something to one of your allies. So I appreciated y'all leaning into that this session, and I also want to say kudos for kind of carrying the game with two players down. That's a lot more extra sort of brain power, and for you to make the decisions and the role play and everything. So yeah, great session. And for our viewers and friends watching, thanks for being here. This has been really fun. I appreciate all y'all's feedback and you all giving my players terrible ideas, especially you there, Jar Jar. You were definitely the loudest and proudest in terms of giving the party ideas and reminding the party about stuff. But yeah, Darth Traddy, you too. You're throwing all kinds of cool stuff in there, so much appreciated. But I've kept you all long enough, so I am going to say thank you for joining us, players and viewers all. Thanks for supporting us and being here and throwing your imagination in and having a good time with us. So we appreciate you. Thanks for having an awesome Monday with us. We'll see y'all next week. Take good care of yourselves, and yeah, if you are looking for a good game throughout the week, go ahead and find me on Discord. If you have, yeah, I'll throw our Discord link in chat once more. Where are we here? Nope, that's the wrong one. All right, and then my last but not least, we are going to stream to a friend. All right. We are going to raid out to folk and myth. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great week. See y'all next time. Take good care of yourselves. Drink some good water. And give yourself a moment to let your brain relax. Don't do anything. Don't plan. Don't think. Just sit for 30 seconds and give your brain that much needed rest. See y'all next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Raiding out in just a few seconds now. Bye-bye. All right. Good time, gang.
The headphones to die.
Oh, perfect. Heck yeah.